I have some pre-made frozen patties that I just pulled out right here. These are from Aldi. They're the 85% lean, 15% fat. These are like the best burgers that they had at the moment. Got those. I already have some burger buns that are like ready to go. Pulled a thing of hot dog buns out of my freezer. And if you watched my how to prep bulk meat for the freezer, these are hot dogs I just pulled out of the freezer, and we'll whip some of these up for the kids, or me and Joe. Me and Joe will probably eat most of these. I'm gonna do a mushroom Swiss burger with onions and mushrooms and obviously Swiss cheese. My husband usually does American cheese and then a fried egg on top of his. That's really good, but we're gonna do the hot dogs, the burgers, and then I'm gonna make some tuna noodles for the kids. They really like that, especially this little one who's yelling behind me. You're awfully chatty today. You're awfully chatty. You can say hi? Hi. So I added in some carrots to this recipe. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the best thing ever. I don't really think it's gonna matter too much. It'll just be a little something extra in here. I think the sweetness will actually kind of be rather nice. So that's what I'm doing. I used about half a bag of peas and carrots. Here is my 1-year-old's plate hot dog. Of course, ketchup, because that's a food group. And my 1-year-old particularly loves tuna noodles. So that's his plate. My older girls here, they don't really do bread with their hot dogs, like buns or anything, so just cut them up for them. And I think we're gonna eat outside today because it is so nice outside. Joe's burgers, my burgers, these are my husband's, mine, my onions and mushroom mixture. And that pan you guys saw me using out on the grill, I actually got that from the Dollar Tree for $1. It works fantastic. I've had that for 3 summers now, and it's worked fantastic for us. I use it on my grill for everything, pretty much, and that's that. So lots of leftovers for tomorrow as well, hopefully. Delicious. I'm very excited. This is our first grilled meal of the season, and I'll show you my burger once it's assembled. My burger here, added a little bit of ketchup to it, and then I really like cherry tomatoes in pretty much any pasta salad, but the acidity with the whole tuna noodle thing is really good. If I had avocados, I would also add an avocado to this. Discovered that last summer, I think, or the summer before. Anyways, really good. I really like that combination with the avocados and the tomatoes. However, avocados are really expensive where I live right now. I live in Wisconsin. Obviously, in March, avocados are not a thing around here. I'm not paying $6 for, 3 avocados. So none of those at the moment, but that's my dinner. This is my take on a homemade crunch wrap. If you want to see how I make this step by step, I will link a what's for dinner video down below. I just shared this like 2 weeks ago, so I didn't want to be redundant and share it again, but I make probably 5 or 6 of them for my family of 5. My kids usually all split one, and then I just put this whole plate on the table and we take what we want, and it's really easy that way, and I really enjoy this meal. So here's another meal that I share all the time, minus these cheddar and herb biscuits. I got these for the first time from Aldi this month, and they're really simple and really easy to put together. It's just water, cheese, and a little bit of melted butter, and they are so good. I threw this right in my KitchenAid and mixed it up and threw them in the oven. They take like 5 minutes. They're really good. And then these are stuffed shells. I just get those jumbo shells from Walmart and stuff them with Italian sausage and some spaghetti sauce, and then we top it on top with cheese and bake them in the oven. This whole meal took just a couple minutes to throw together, probably like 25 minutes, and it was really good, and I will definitely be getting these cheddar and herb biscuits again. The herb butter that you can make to put on these is really good as well. It was just something new that I got, and we ended up all really enjoying them. So here is one of the kids' plates with one of those biscuits and a stuffed shell. It's basically like a lasagna just stuffed into a noodle. The only thing I'm actually making from scratch tonight that isn't from a box is this tartar sauce. So how I made this was probably 2-3 big spoonfuls of Miracle Whip or mayo, just depending on whatever, a squirt of yellow mustard, So this night we had a homemade fish fry, and everything came out of a box or like a bag of french fries. So I was showing you my homemade pickle relish. I took about 2 of these pickles that we pickled from the garden last year and probably about a 1/4 cup of that pickle juice and threw it in with the mayo. And I also took some of the onions that we put in the pickle jar as well, so some pickled onions, mixed it all together with that mayo, a little bit of that mustard, and then I seasoned it with salt, pepper, and then a little bit of onion powder, and I also squeezed in a little bit of a lemon for that homemade relish. So this is my crock pot spaghetti sauce. I have in a pound of ground beef. You could also do Italian sausage or a mix of both. I have a whole onion and probably about 2 handfuls of sliced button mushrooms in here as well, and I just throw that all into the crock pot and kind of let it cook, do its thing. I also threw in a little bit of basil and some other Italian seasonings onto the meat while it cooked, and I just kind of threw this in the crock pot, let it do its thing, broke it up every once in a while, and then once it was cooked, I went ahead and added in half of a jar of whole tomatoes that I got from the garden last year, and then a whole jar of like pre-made spaghetti sauce from Aldi. I threw in the meat one if that matters to you. And then of course I added in more seasonings like basil, seasoned salt, pepper, onion powder, a little bit of garlic as well, and just kind of put the top back on and let it simmer and do its thing. And I came back to a pre-made easy crockpot spaghetti sauce, which was absolutely delicious, by the way. The other half of that whole tomatoes that I have in that jar there, I just threw in the fridge, and I'm still looking for another recipe to kind of throw those in. They'll be good in the fridge for a while, probably about a week, 2 weeks, but after that they can get kind of grimy. So I'm still looking to use up the other half of those whole tomatoes because I did not need that much in this crock pot. It's like the smallest crock pot they have. I think it's like 4 quarts or 6 quarts. Super tiny, but I like having a smaller crock pot because if I have a super large crock pot, I tend to make way too much. I feel like I'm feeding an army, but really this small crock pot, it was like $10 from Walmart, and it was the best investment I've ever made. It helps me portion control, and it saves me from having a lot of food waste. So that's just my small tip from me to you. Of course, my kids are all under the age of 5, so they don't really eat a whole lot, but once they're bigger, this little crock pot is definitely not going to do the trick. But you see me here throwing in bay leaves. That adds so much flavor. That little jar that you just saw me have is from Walmart. It was like 98 cents. So worth it. Pick up some bay leaves. I also throw those in all of my different kinds of soups. They add so much flavor. Highly recommend getting yourself some bay leaves. So we're just finishing off the sauce here with a little bit more herbs, giving it a stir. I made penne noodles this night. I typically ask my kids what kind of noodles they want. They voted for these. I also have some broccoli with a little bit of butter going, and then of course in my oven I have Texas toast with a little bit of mozzarella cheese on top. Excuse my dirty oven, that's just life. But here is the finished product of our delicious like crock pot spaghetti sauce over penne noodles and broccoli. I like to eat it all in one bowl. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. I'll link my What's for Dinner playlist down below, and of course I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!
I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it low now. If you wanna go, let's go. Let's wrap it up and hit the road. I just got an awesome vibe, striking the wind up